Hey, welcome back to the Quiet Signal. I am your signal master. Let's jump right into it. Shh, it's the Quiet Signal. Okay, so this is a super quick kind of Kabbalah 101. You know what I mean? Like, you're probably, if you're like me, you've been hearing this term thrown around willy-nilly like crazy. Maybe you've just heard of the term before. Maybe you heard, like, some people were wearing a Kabbalah bracelet, or, you heard that Donald Trump had a Kabbalah tutor or something. You know what I mean? Like, the thing gets thrown around all the time, but people don't really know what it is. And so I was like, well, I should kind of compile a brief, quick 101 explainer about what Kabbalah is. And so that's what this is here. So you'll have a rudimentary kind of a basic understanding of what Kabbalah is, and then you can explain it to your mom or dad. And so basically, it's Kabbalah for goys. That's what the video is today. That's what we're covering. So Kabbalah, what it is it's the Jewish mystical tradition concerned with understanding the nature of God, creation, the soul, and humanity's role in existence. Oftentimes, rabbis will say that you're not supposed to really study it in depth unless it's the only thing you're able to do, if that makes sense. Like, it's not a study to take lightly. It's kind of like what's in the Jedi Master archives that Anakin Skywalker wasn't allowed to go into. It's a little bit gatekept. It's a secret, and when I say secret, that's also kind of loose, because really there are no secrets in the age of the internet anymore. Wink, wink. It emerged in medieval Spain and southern France, although they say that it goes way back. It goes back to even like Moses at Sinai, in the tradition itself. So medieval Spain and southern France in the 12th and 13th centuries, that's kind of where it becomes solidified, where it emerges outside of the like oral tradition, and it actually manifests in something that you can track historically, if that makes sense. But practitioners do trace it to ancient rabbinic sources, and even to Moses. Some people, I believe, also say that it was given to Adam by God, Adam, the first man, right? But hey, I'm trying to stay rudimentary and base level here, but so let's just stick with developed in medieval Spain and southern France, 12th and 13th centuries, and the practitioners believe it to go back to Moses, and let's leave it there. Okay, the tradition assumes that the Torah contains hidden layers of meaning beyond its literal text, the code within the code, that there's, secrets inside. This is not uncommon in the Christian tradition. People read the Bible and then think that that there's secret messages in it. Whoa, crazy people, right? Like, whoa, wild, because that's never ever been done. You know what I mean? When the English teacher is overanalyzing, like, oh, the room was painted blue, and that represents the depression, and the this and the that, and blue means this, and how deep it is, and then the guy raises his hand and says, that's ridiculous, I think he just wanted the room to be blue. And then the English teacher is like, well, who are you? And he's like, I'm the author. Whoa, it's actually it's not a deep and literal thing, because that's what they want you to think, right? There's nothing deeper to any of this sort of stuff, right? Excuse the digression here, but yeah, why would anyone put secret messages in the media that kind of explain deeper and truer truths than you're allowed to even say? That would make no sense, especially in religious texts. Like, people that spend their whole lives thinking about this sort of stuff, or devote their entire life to what they believe to be the almighty, most powerful being in the entire world, that only wants your attention and praise and commitment. Why would people actually pursue and do that and try to understand? I'm being a snark now. I'm sorry. Okay, so the same divine wisdom that structured creation is encoded in Scripture, meaning that the matrix code is reflected inside of the holy works and books, is kind of the idea here. The matrix code of the universe, the simulation that God created and placed us in. And forgive the term simulation. The semantics here are going to be crazy. You're going to hate it if you're a rabbi, or if you're into Kabbalah, or if you're a Christian. I mean, no disrespect anywhere. Forgive my irreverence. Waiting to be decoded throughout symbolic interpretation. Nice, right? That's kind of a neat idea, right? The idea that if this is the ultimate religion and what's true, that there would be a sort of a how the prequels and the sequels and the regulars of the Star Wars Niner trilogy echo and rhyme with each other. George Lucas always says that. That's the same sort of idea. The macrocosm reflects the microcosm, and the written word explaining the religion also has a sort of physical or metaphysical structure encoded with it that you can decode through symbolic interpretation to understand the structure of the universe. Make sure that you're drinking water. Central question from Kabbalah is, how does the infinite create the finite? And so the foundational problem Kabbalah addresses is that God is infinite and utterly transcendent beyond all attributes, yet the universe is finite, material, full of limitation and separation. And so how does absolute unity produce multiplicity? How does how does a perfect being produce imperfect existence? Right? This is classic. All religious, anyone that is monotheistic and believes in an omnipotent, omniscient, all-powerful creator God always kind of struggles with this. How can a perfect thing create imperfect material, that being us or this universe, which oh boy is it imperfect, am I right, folks? So that's kind of the whole thing that gets into it. I'm about to answer it with my personal thing, but that's not what we're doing here today. What we're doing is we are talking about the Kabbalah things. So the Kabbalists' answer unfold through a cosmological drama involving contraction and emanation, vessels, light, and the structure that mediates between infinite and finite, the tree of life. Ever heard of it? Ever heard of the tree of life? You're not allowed to eat from it. Not allowed to eat from it, but there might be people that do, or have, or beings. You know, angels or demons might have gotten access to this tree of life, or so. You know what? I'm gonna go schizophrenic on your ass. I don't want to do that. So we're gonna calm down here and just focus on the 101 basics, just related to Kabbalah, right? Okay. You should be careful if you go further than what I'm telling you today, because it will make you go insane when you start looking into stuff like this, you know. So be forewarned. Remember to drink water. Okay. So there's this primordial contraction. So before creation, God filled all existence, and there was only infinite and divine light. So there's no space for anything else, right? Because God's this perfect being. There's no existence that like we understand it as. You know, our understanding of existence doesn't exist, and it can't exist because it doesn't, I guess. You know, the creation isn't perfect, so obviously it can't be around when there's God around. So the first act wasn't creation, but a contraction or a withdrawal. So God contracted itself, and it created this conceptual void. So not an absence of God, but a dimming that makes finite existence possible. So it kind of creates it kind of breathes in or shrinks itself. And again, this is mortal and a layman, especially in this particular practice, explaining the practice. But maybe we'll do a Gnostic understanding thing too. But it's very similar to the idea of the monad breathing out. But this is the first part of that, where it's more like taking a breath in to collapse itself in order to make space to put something into that space. So into this void, a single ray of divine light is descended into it, or shined, put into it. So God then emanates its light into the void, into the space that it created through its contraction. And from that ray, the entire structure of creation emanated in stages. So the light didn't pour out chaotically. It was organized itself into 10 channels or attributes, which form the architecture of reality itself. So I don't know if you know this, but when the Big Bang Theory first came out, it was actually used as an argument for creationism. So if you want to line it up, I mean, this is probably incorrect and wrong, and I don't want to be rude or to anybody or anything, but the Big Bang may have like a way to think of this is like that ray of light filling the void is the Big Bang, if that makes sense. Like it's the matrix code. It's hitting enter on sending the code into the universe of the command prompt matrix code, turn the operating system on, and now you actually have something going or running. Although it's more probably like, building the computer and the code into one thing at the same exact time, I guess, maybe. Again, I'm digressing, but and I'm probably saying too much. So let's move on to what this structure looks like, which is described as the tree of life. And forgive me, I'm not using the words correctly here. I'm not going to speak the native Hakama or Hest, Chess, or Keter or Baina. I'm not going to be saying those words, so forgive me there. But so we start with the crown on the top, and this is the tree of life thing. This is the thing when you look up Kabbalah. This is like the first thing that comes up. You've probably seen it in movies, or it gets hidden in all these crazy sort of places. When you watch those like crazy like edits, people like to throw these things up and like flash them in front of you or whatever, but you've probably seen this thing. I always think that it looks like when you pledge a fraternity and they have a paddle that they spank you with. It almost looks like that paddle to me, like the structure of it somewhat reminds me of it. It would be kind of cool, whatever. I don't know why I connect those two dots together. For some reason I do, though. Why, I don't know why, but for some reason I do. Like, it's almost like things always rhyme with each other in weird ways like that, just like George Lucas says, like I said earlier, right? Weird. Yeah, so like, again, I'm digressing too much. You need to be careful with this stuff or you'll end up insane like me. So let's just get into it. But you've seen this image before, I'm sure, right? This is the classic Kabbalah picture, this tree of life thing. So we start in a middle pillar, and this is the top, the crown. Literally, it's called the crown. And then that shoots itself into wisdom, it creates this sort of zigzag pattern, although usually you see them all kind of connected together in this sort of way, but they are supposed to move from like down, right, left, down, middle, down, right, left, down, middle, down, right, left, down, middle, down, middle is kind of the order that I think that they go in this sort of zigzag pattern, and the last two connect at the bottom. But we start with the crown at the top, then it moves down to wisdom on just one tier under on the right, and then that moves into understanding on the left on the same tier as wisdom, then that moves to the middle, which is knowledge, and then that moves down another tier to mercy on the right, and then to the left it's severity, and you can kind of see, you know, understanding, wisdom, like severity, mercy, like there's kind of a duality thing going on maybe a little bit, and then that goes into beauty, and then victory, glory, foundation, and kingdom, and there's probably a picture I'll provide, but let's see, what else do I need to say about that? We'll keep it that simple, but it's not that simple. It's so much more complicated than that. But those are what those things are, and then they have very, like, I mean, you could spend years studying each node on this tree of life. I mean, like, there's so much here. But again, 101, Kabbalah for Goys, now you just know what it is and that it exists. You know what I mean? That's all we're doing here. We're saying the quiet part out loud. Those that know don't speak. We're speaking, and we don't know. Okay, highest wisdom, just like Christian Rosenkreutz, the highest wisdom is to know nothing. Hold on. Make sure that you're drinking water. Okay. All right. So the divine attributes, they aren't separate deities or intermediaries. They're attributes or modalities of the one God. Again, this stuff is like crazy, like how it parallels with like the Gnostic stuff. If you're a Gnostic build, we should probably do that up next. So the way that God becomes knowable and active in creation, think of them as the grammar of divine expression, right? So it's the structure of God, if that makes sense, and of our understanding of like the structure of like God's interaction with the creation of the universe or something. I mean, it's so much more than that. It's like wrong to say it the way I'm saying it. It feels like, but for a few reasons, I suppose. Okay, so the three pillars. So the tree of life is kind of made up of three pillars. You'll see. So there's a pillar of severity on the left, the middle pillar, which is the pillar of balance, and then the pillar of mercy, which is on the right. Pillar of severity is mercy and expansion. That's the pillar on the right, and it has the wisdom, mercy, and victory in it, which is interesting for victory to be in line with the pillar of mercy. But hey, it's not my thing. And then the left pillar, and so that right pillar is expansive, giving, masculine energy, which I guess it makes sense when you gender it. So wisdom, masculine, mercy, masculine, victory, masculine, boys rule. And the left pillar is severity and contraction. Right pillar, mercy, expansion. You think about the male mode is enacting will out onto the world. I don't want to be rude by bringing up the male member and utility in terms of its most basic action, but you think about that, and that's men give and women receive. I'm just being goofy. I'm just being silly. Okay, left pillar, severity, contraction, and oh boy, are they severe, dude. Restrictive, defining, feminine energy. So it's got understanding. I don't understand them, but sure. Severity, and then glory, which okay makes some sense, right? You know what I mean when you think about it in these terms. Understanding, like, right, that makes sense. Wyndham, I don't need to put myself too much onto this of my framing and understanding it. So let's just keep on moving on before I say something rude, or that's interpreted as rude. Middle pillar, balance, harmonizing forces, and inside here we got crown, we got knowledge, we got beauty, we got foundation, and we got kingdom. Pretty cool. And then again, like I say, there's this zigzag pattern where crown goes into wisdom, which goes into understanding, which goes into knowledge, which goes into mercy, goes into severity, goes into beauty, goes into victory, goes into glory, goes into foundation, goes into kingdom, where there's this zigzag pattern that ends up being created through that. And what that zigzag means, that it's a lightning flash. It represents the order of emanation, how divine light descended from Keter, which is the crown, like the Godhead, I guess, through each through each of the nodes here. Cool. So the crown, each of these nodes description very quickly. The crown is the divine will, the first string of intention before thought, the point where infinite becomes accessible to finite. And so this is reflected inside of you. Like, you have this structure that's in you as a human being, that reflects kind of God. Like, you being created in God's image, this is the structure of that image, I guess. Again, I don't mean to put too much of my layman Gentile understanding on this, but so forgive me. But this is like a divine intuition, if that makes sense. So the thought, the thing that is before the thought. So before you articulate why you're doing a thing, this is whatever that is. In Donnie Darko, that portal that comes out of his chest that shows where he's going to end up going before he even knows that that's where he's going to go or whatever. This is like that, I guess. It's kind of like the predestined destiny force that drives you to go and do the stuff that no one actually ever does or follows or listens to in this day and age. But that's just my opinion. That's just my 2 cents. Then we have wisdom. Always ask for wisdom. Very valuable. And really you should be asking for the crown, which would be a higher wisdom, which is to know nothing, to not think, and to do. There is no try, there is only do. You could look into who George Lucas used to be very close to. Is that saying too much, or is that too rude of a way to say it? I don't know. But George Lucas was into this sort of stuff. Yeah. Okay, wisdom, the flash of insight, raw. Undifferentiated consciousness. The point before it becomes a line. Masculine, expansive, the seed. Wisdom. 3. Understanding. The womb that receives the seed of wisdom and develops it into articulated thought. Feminine, analytical, the palace of contemplation. Feminine analytical sounds like a... Okay, no, we'll calm down. Feminine analytical, palace of contemplation. Contemplation, feminine, analytical, feminine, contemplation, just kidding. I'm goofing off. No, it makes sense. It's true. It's true. It's a good frame of understanding. It's good practice for thinking. It makes sense, I should say. I don't want to sound like I don't think it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense, and it's actually kind of crazy that this sort of stuff isn't. Whatever. I'm about to do a Protestant rant, a critique. No, we're here to have a good time, guys. We're here having a good time. It's a good time. I'm not saying anything controversial. I'm just explaining what the thing is. Okay, next up, knowledge. Knowledge, the bridge between higher and lower triads, sometimes visible, sometimes hidden, and it's a union of wisdom and understanding. Right? You have, in order to accept knowledge, you have to have the wisdom to like seek it out or to plant the seed, and then you have to have the understanding of growing the seed into something into having the knowledge, if that makes sense. So you have to pursue knowledge through wisdom and understanding, which are two separate things that you have to balance and grow together in order to attain the knowledge. Kind of like what we're doing right now. Next up, mercy. Heck yeah, mercy / loving kindness, if you want to explain it, but it's unconditional giving. I just give and I give and I give, you know. I just give and I give and I give. And so unconditional giving, grace, expansion without limit. Abraham's attribute. Cool, right on. Severity, judgment. Restraint, boundaries, the power that says enough. Isaac's attribute, not evil, but necessary limitation. Right? You can't just be given all over the place. You know what I mean? You can't be just given willy-nilly. You can't be planting those seeds all across town. People will start getting mad at you. So you need to limit yourself and maybe just plant one seed over and over again in one place. You know what I mean? And then you can grow, and then you put your effort into that limit. When you have too many projects, you don't actually get anything done. You know what I mean? When you got I don't know. My impulse is to be lewd here. Please forgive me, but you know, like, I can't even handle one lady. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you need to limit yourself, my fella, my guy. You can't be going around. You know, you can't be going around putting your habaka all over the place. You know what I mean? You gotta plant it in one bana, and then you develop the diet, and then through hest or chest and Gevura, you use the Gevura to restrain yourself and have the boundaries, the severity and judgment allow you to have that necessary limitation so that you can grow, so that you can kind of, so that you can actually get stuff done. I'm sorry for the digression, getting stuck on every single little tidbit here or whatever, but at least we're having a good time, am I right? All right, next up we got, so number 7, we got beauty, harmony, the heart, the balancing point, compassion that tempers justice with mercy, Jacob's attribute, often associated with the written Torah. What's more beautiful than the Torah? But pretty cool, pretty swag. I'm about beauty. Again, my personal thing, invading this like crazy. My bad for thinking too much in this, but all I'm trying to say right now, I guess, is just that I look at beauty as a virtue, that it's something to be valued and cherished and cultivated and pursued. You want beauty. It's important to have. Brutalist architecture is not the way to go. Elves, not orcs. You know what I mean? Not orci, but there's just an innate virtue to the elfish form versus the orci one. And I'm not saying that in a Curtis Yarvin type of way. Dude, I see why people don't talk about this, because it's anyone can be, in my view, anyone can be an elf, and anyone can pursue beauty. Let's just say that. And so then next up we got victory. Number 8, victory. I'm trying to do Joe Biden, I'm sorry. Okay, victory, eternity, endurance, the drive to overcome obstacles, prophetic vision, Moses' attribute, and oh boy was he victorious. Exodus. I'm trying to think, there's a reggae song. Exodus. I don't remember how it goes. Okay, next up. Number 9, glory, splendor, humility, acknowledgement, receptivity to divine will, Aaron's attribute. I'm gonna sound really dumb here. Aaron. 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 Oh, yes, Aaron. Aaron, elder brother of Moses, first high priest and a key leader in the Exodus from Egypt. Yes, Exodus, Bob Marley and the Wailers song. Cool. Victory. Exodus. Next up, number 9, glory, splendor, humility. Oh, we already got there. Right, number 9, humility, acknowledgement, receptivity to divine will, Aaron's attribute. 10, foundation, the collecting point. This is where you collect all of this stuff. So it's like your, I was about to call it your base chakra. Oh, that might be the kingdom. Foundation or kingdom is like the base chakra. This thing like maps on your body too, as well, and it's really kind of crazy how much this structure overlaps in like different practices, like mystic practices. Hence the word chakra coming to mind here. The collecting point, the channel through which all higher energies flow to manifestation, associated with Joseph and with the righteous one. 11, kingdom, sovereignty, the material world, the divine presence in exile, the recipient of all higher emanations, also called the assembly of Israel. Very good. So that's the tree of life and all of the nodes on it. Again, very basic, and I'm probably overcomplicating it, but hopefully you're getting it. Hopefully the pictures I put up make things make sense here. So the 4 worlds, there's cascading levels of reality, and these nodes don't exist in one dimension. They cascade through 4 progressively denser worlds, each a complete tree of life in itself. So these everything I just ran over, I believe there's 4 of them that layer on top of itself in 4 different dimensions, 4 different worlds, and cascading levels of reality. And they cascade through 4 progressively denser worlds with a complete tree of life, yes. And so the crown of one world becomes the wisdom. Am I right in that? Or no, it becomes a kingdom in another, right? Okay, so the crown and the kingdom connect to each other as they descend into lower and higher dense reality. So that's something that I had a hard time kind of wrapping my head around, is that the tree of life is copied 4 times and moves up and down. And so reality is nested in a series of emanations, and each world concealing more light than the last. And so then there's the 4 worlds here. And so the closest to God is emanation, which is the top. And so emanation is itself the same structure that we just discussed. This tree of life, there's one of those in emanation. This whole structure that we just covered, there's one, and that's in emanation. And what that is divine realm, pure godliness. Each of these nodes are in their purest form, and it's associated with the divine name Yahweh, or the letter Yud. And I'm a Gentile. I'm saying this stuff or whatever. I believe it's It's the YHVH. And then next up we have creation. So that's one tree of life is emanation, and then the crown connects to the kingdom. The crown of creation connects to the kingdom of emanation. And in creation, it's the realm of intellect and throne archangels, and the highest souls. So this is kind of like this is the best you're ever gonna get. This is the greatest good you ever gonna get, which is the world of creation. Chilling with the archangels, the throne archangels, and the other highest souls. Probably wrong for me to attribute, but I would imagine, like, in the tradition, like, it would be believed that, like, a guy like Moses, or like highest souls, like the guys that really kill it, really do well, end up here. And it's associated with the letter He and Nemshama, soul level. Then that tree of life, it's the kingdom node on the creation tree of life connects to this next one, which is formation. And so the crown connects to the kingdom. The formation world connects to crown, connects to the creation. Formation, crown connects to creation, kingdom, and we move down. And so then this is the realm of emotions and angels, psychological and spiritual experience, and it's associated with the letter Vav, and it's the spirit level. And then that moves down to action. So formation, kingdom connects to action, crown. And that's the 4th and final tree of life, and this is the furthest from the source, from God. This is the furthest layer, and so then this is the physical universe and bodies. This is, I guess, where we just exist normally. So matter, time, space. Yeah. So like physical reality. We are now in the physical. The 3 higher ones are metaphysical. That's me putting this on it. Forgive me. I don't mean to be rude. Again, Kabbalah for goys. I'm a Gentile. We're trying to figure this out, just so that we can kind of keep up with. Never mind. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, Yeah, I do. Whatever. Everything. We're all having a good time. We're just learning. Everybody's just learning. I'm trying to make sense of the universe, and these guys have a sense. Okay, each world is a complete iteration of the tree of life, and they have all of the nodes operating at the world's level of density. What's crucial is that you exist in all 4 worlds simultaneously, and so your physical body is in the action state, right? So that's the perceptive reality that you see and feel, and then your emotional life is in the formation state, your intellect is in the creation state, and your connection to the divine is in the emanation state of world. So you have all 4 of these tree of lives that are layered on top of each other and ascend and descend kind of like simultaneously. And these are all going on at the same time. The idea of like gnosis comes to mind here, where you're in like God's channel with like where you're when you're activated on, like when you're in a flow state, or you're activated on kind of all of these grounds at the same time. It's like that's like when life is really kicking in the high gear, like when things are when you're really working correctly or whatever. I mean, you should know the feeling, and you probably don't ever feel it at your 9 to 5. Just kidding. Hopefully you do, actually, and you could. If you really try, you should be inspired by this, even if you don't believe it or whatever. I mean, this stuff is interesting. It's freaking cool as heck. Like this stuff rocks, actually. And but you should be careful with it, and it will make you go insane. So, cool. So this is the mechanics of prayer and spiritual practice, which, again, that's their thing, not my thing. Very, very rudimentary, basic level here that we're covering. So the next up is the soul's 5 levels. And so traditional Kabbalah describes the soul not as a single entity, but as 5 interpenetrating levels from lowest to highest. And so 1, you have the vital soul, which is the animating life force, biological drives, survival instinct, located in the blood and liver, present in all living things, corresponds to the action. So maybe you can think of like vril or something, or chi, I don't know. Life force, vital soul, animating life force. Might be rude to call it vril, actually, to the Kabbalists. I don't know. Cool beans. Next up, we got spirit, emotional and moral consciousness, the seat of good and evil, inclination, the psychological self, corresponds to formation, the formation world and level. And then next up, we have soul proper, which is the intellectual awareness, capacity for abstract thought, connection to divine wisdom, corresponds to the creation world. This level only fully enters at the age of 13 after your bar bat mitzvah. Then we have living essence, and it's supra-rational. Yeah, living essence is supra-rational connection to God. And it's experienced as ecstatic transcendence, corresponds to the emanation world. And it's rarely accessed except by having like exceptional moral, ethical, and spiritual virtue while living according to the highest divine standards. So it's like when you're in full-blown God's channel. And I'm trying to okay. Yeah, and like there's a deep meditation that's required in order to get there. So you don't usually live here. Like this isn't going on. This is the living essence. And it's supra-rational connection to God, and it's experienced as ecstatic transcendence, and again corresponds to the emanation state or world, and it's and rarely accessed, and it requires like deep meditation and yeah, just being connected. Then we have the singular one, and this is the absolutely unique essence of each individual. One with God, yet paradoxically individuated, beyond the four worlds entirely, the spark that pre-existed your birth and survives after death. And this is probably unknowable. It's the true self. It's the self of your soul, which is like beyond, like beyond ego, beyond your. So like, it's the ultimate. Like no one knows themselves in this in how individualized way of this. It transcends like language, English, race, gender, state, sex, occupation, craft, orientations, proclivities. Like it's like just the truest nature of your soul as an individualized soul. It's the pure water droplet that's disconnected from the sea that it came from. Again, me putting myself on this, just my way of understanding it as a guy that has heard the term a bunch and wants to make sense of it. That's all. Most people operate primarily from the soul, from the vital soul and the spirit. So levels 1 and 2, again corresponding to action and formation worlds. That's where most people are working from. Spiritual practice aims to activate the higher levels and integrate them downward. So you want to get up as high as you possibly can, which is in most cases is probably up to level 4, living essence. Again, I'll try and pronounce these, but the level 1 of the soul, 5 levels, vital soul is nefesh. Then spirit, number 2 is rach. Number 3 is neshama, soul proper. 4, haya, chaya, living essence. 5 is Yahidia, the singular one soul, right? And so most people are just in levels 1 and 2, nefesh and rach, vital soul, spirit, and that's usually where people are operating from. But the goal is to reach as high as you can, aiming to get to level 5, but you'll probably only ever make it to level 4, and that's if you're like high level, like crazy high level, powerful. Powerful is probably the wrong word, but like you'll make it to level 4 at best. And you want to pull them down so that you can operate with them, I guess. Saying the same thing over and over again, forgive me. Okay, cool. Next up, we have this concept, which is the shattering of vessels. And so according to Lorianic, Kabbalah, 16th century Rabbi Isaac Luria, the original cosmic plan went awry. Interesting. It went awry. When divine light first poured into the vessels designed to contain it, the vessel of the lower 7 nodes couldn't withstand the intensity and shattered. Bro, what? So the lower 7 nodes on the tree of life, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So my understanding would be that would be severity, mercy, beauty, glory, victory, foundation, and kingdom. They couldn't handle the power of God's light emanating into it to fill its vessel, and it shattered. It couldn't withstand the intensity, and they shattered. And so this cosmic catastrophe scattered divine sparks throughout all of creation and trapped them in shells of impurity called kelipot, which means husks or shells. And these husks or shells are the source of evil, limitation, and all that conceals the divine thing. So that makes me think of like archons, the sort of the vampire powers that shouldn't be, the archons that exist without creative force or divine energy inside of them, but still are physical and interacting. Cool. Please make sure you're staying hydrated. Well, that's kind of like terrifying and horrifying to think about, but okay. The shattered vessels fell through the world, mixing holy sparks with the realm of separation and ego. This is why the material world seems distant from God. It's literally veiled by the debris of a cosmic catastrophe. Cool. That makes tons of sense, actually. And when it comes to... okay, again, basic 101. Let's not think about this too hard. We collected it, so this is, the shattering of the vessels. Divine light pours into the vessels designed to contain it, so into these tree of life. And remember, there's 4 of them layered kind of on top of each other simultaneously, but also ascending and descending. And those vessels were filled with this light through it. And so I would imagine that it goes through the crowns, and then it pours down, and it goes through kind of those first 3. And then when it gets to the final 7, they couldn't handle the intensity of the power of God's light, thus shattering it. And that shattering is what scattered all these divine sparks probably into the shells, and that's probably reflected through some sort of macrocosm, cosmic, metaphysical sense, and then a microphysical, microcosm sense as well. And it's the explanation of why the worldly material is imperfect, because it's veiled by the debris of this cosmic catastrophe. Okay, cool. Nice. Then we come up with the next topic or concept here, which is the Great Repair. So we just kind of defined the problem with the universe, like the broken nature of it. And again, very, very simply, and it's interpretation, and it's being spoken through my lens here. I'm just a guy who's trying to make sense of this. It's not the end-all be-all. It's just a 101, my understanding of trying to figure it out. So that's the problem of the universe, is that these vessels are shattered, like the clay of reality, of physical reality, broke because it broke. It was God's power so powerful that when creating material and pouring his light and essence into that material, broke and made the clay of physical reality imperfect, and that's why we have this separation that we're interacting with. That is how I'm thinking of it, and I think there's a deeper, like, again, people study their entire lives and still don't fully grasp it or whatever, but there's a lot here, is all. So the Great Repair is now our purpose and mission, and this is the so I just said the sad thing, this is the hopeful point, now we need to inspire. We broke it doん. Now we should build it back up and inspire here a little bit. So the Great Repair concept, humanity's purpose per Kabbalah is tikkun. Forgive me, all of my pronunciations are butchered, I'm sure, but repair or restoration. So every mitzvah performed with proper intention liberates trapped sparks and raises them back to their source. Every act of kindness, prayer, study, and observance is literally reassembling the shattered vessels. So these little sparks of beauty, of God's beauty, divine God beauty, with these attribute things or whatever, knowledge, understanding, wisdom. When you are are connecting with it, you are repairing the brokenness of yourself and others. Again, these trees of life are layered on top of each other simultaneously and are ascending and descending also at the same time. And you exist in 4 parallel modes, and you have 5 different levels of soul that are all interacting in this confluence and complex mixture of reality, metaphysical and physical, that's going on at the same time. And when you don't sin and you hit the guitar hero notes of that life is sending at you, which is actually enacting and doing what God's will is, which you're probably hitting one of those a week, dude. Like, let's get to work here, okay, my guy. Again, this is me putting my explanation of this sort of stuff onto this thing. Like my understanding of this sort of stuff is informing my worldview, which then I'm saying back at it at the text that I'm this is one of the things I borrowed for, my understanding of this sort of stuff or whatever, and now I'm spitting back out my understanding and placing it kind of on it. So forgive me if I'm confusing. But when you hit a note in Guitar Hero, which you probably rarely ever do, like those, they're being sent at you every moment of every second in a way that transcends space and time. Those notes are coming at you, and you are mostly missing them. But when you hit them, when you actually perform and do those things, you are literally fixing the fabric of reality and the universe that is shattered, and is why you are separated from God. You are fixing that issue when you do these nice things, when you are acting within God's channel properly, fully, and completely. And the one person to ever hit every single note in Christianity is Jesus Christ. I'm not gonna so maybe look into that guy as well. But today we are looking at the people that do not believe that, and they're still waiting for the Messiah, for the guy that can show us how to hit the guy that does hit every note. They're waiting for it, although maybe they wonder if let's get back to the again 101 basics here. Okay, cool. So this isn't metaphorical. Kabbalists believe that eating kosher food with awareness of its divine source elevates the sparks within that food. Pronouncing a blessing extracts holiness from the mundane. The entire physical world is a field of scattered light waiting to be gathered. So you are here to go hit those notes, like to go do all these things. When you pray over your food and bless it, you're extracting it. And when you do that with your work, with all, food is just a basic way of looking at it, but you can do it with all of these things. All these things you can do it with. Everything of life you do this with. And that's all of those notes coming at you. And when you hit those notes, which is like through awareness of like paying attention to the divine source that emanates through all of these things, like that there's all of this light in all of this material that you're interacting with on Earth. When you are aware of that and you're extracting it and collecting it, you are fixing the physical world. And I just hit the wrong button. Okay. And so when enough sparks are gathered, when this has been done enough, the Messiah comes. Now, like I just kind of digressed by bringing up Christianity and Jesus Christ in this. Obviously, they think that that's already happened. I believe that that's happened already. But when enough sparks are gathered, the Messiah comes, not as a person arriving from outside, but as the systemic consequence of humanity completing the repair work, right? So once humanity has done enough of this repair work, Messiah can come back. Like, you have to repair the universe enough in order to even allow the perfect being to come inside of it. Right? You have to prepare this place to allow for this perfect Messiah to come. Like the perfect notes that the Messiah would be hitting, where like don't even exist yet in this reality because we haven't built enough of them, if that makes sense. And this is a metaphysical and physical combination thing that's too complicated to even like to conceptualize or whatever, but it's just like humanity has not properly prepared the world to allow this perfect being to come and show us perfection, is the idea here, right? And so redemption is the world remembering itself as God. So the world is broken and separated from God and needs to be repaired in order to reemerge with God, which is the whole process that you're trying to perform through this practice. And that's the when I say the word the great work, which overlaps a lot with a word like the great repair, maybe things click in. If you know other things, then you maybe hear the way that the prequels and the sequels are rhyming with each other, like in Star Wars, Make sure you're staying hydrated and sane. Make sure that your brain isn't collapsing on itself like mine, which probably is literally proving something. Never mind. Practical techniques inside of the Kabbalah. So that's it in a nutshell in terms of the explainer of like what it teaches is what's going on. In my 101 Gentile explanation understanding of it, and this is a quick little thrown together thing that we're doing here, right? Cool. But I'm just saying I'm not the authority on this. I'm just trying to give you the keys to you as a layman who doesn't understand it, and I'm a novice, or I'm someone that has a passive interest in this, and so this is a nice 101, like I'm no expert, but I'm giving you what I would consider a decent overview for someone that's interested in what this is, but isn't actually involved in it. People that are actually into this or are part of it, obviously have much better sources and things for this. This isn't for experts. This is very much for people that don't know what the heck it is and are just curious. Okay, next up, practical techniques inside of it. So Kabbalah, forget pronunciation. I probably won't even say any other more words that I can't say. But one practical technique is intentions and meditations. So traditional prayer isn't petitionary. It's theurgic, which is affecting the divine itself. So each prayer corresponds to specific nodes in the tree of life and acts to channel divine flow downward. So advanced practitioners use these intentions and meditations like through concentrated meditation on divine names, letter combinations, and the nodes of the tree of life configurations while praying. High level stuff, I mean, this is beyond where we're going to go today, but a quick example for you is a standing prayer. They have 18 blessings, 18, very important number. Wait for part 2 when we get into gematria. Just kidding. Maybe we'll see. But each blessing addresses specific nodes on the tree of life and cosmic channels. Saying the words while visualizing the corresponding divine names and nodes unifies the fragmented aspects of divinity. So you got a whole these people, like there's whole temples of people that are literally just meditating, fixing the universe all day. That's kind of cool. It's like the Greybeards in Skyrim. You know what I mean? Like they're up on the mountain and they're the ones like making sure to keep reality from like falling apart. Meanwhile, you are complaining about like your ham sandwich order at Jimmy John's, and meanwhile there's this whole metaphysical cosmic repairing of the universe going on, and you're honking in traffic on your way to the store that you work at, a store that you work at, on your way on the way to your whatever. Never mind. Okay, keep moving on. The Shema, the most fundamental Jewish prayer. Hear, O Israel, the Lord is our God, the Lord is one. I hope I'm allowed to say that. Is a meditation on divine unity. Advanced practices involve visualizing the letters of the divine name. Again, YHVH, Yahweh, unified with ADNI while reciting, creating a mystical marriage of transcendent and immanent aspects of God. This ADNI thing, I don't know too much about. Not the Alzheimer's disease neuroimaging initiative. Is not what we're looking at right now. Hebrew literal title for God meaning Lord or Master. Okay, so it's again, more beyond more than what we need to go into today, but they combine Yahweh with this Adonai. Dude, of course, who hasn't heard of Adonai? Yahweh and Adonai, of course you've heard of Adonai. I'm kind of whatever. Being a little bit silly, but yeah, I have heard that. So while reciting, creating a mystical marriage of transcendence and immanent aspects of God. Yes, so cool. More than we need here. 2, another practitioner is unifications, and I'm not going to say whatever the correct word is again because I don't know how to pronounce it. So specific meditations that unify separated aspects of divinity by visualizing letter combinations. The classic text is this text written by Rabbi Hayam Vital, Loria's primary student. Basic practice is visualize the tetragrammaton. Dude, there's so much to get into, isn't there? But the tetragrammaton in white fire letters. See the letters rearranging, combining with other divine names, forming new configurations. Each configuration opens different channels of divine flow. Again, there are people that are doing this, basically all day, every day, as like a literal fixing of the universe. Meanwhile, you're arguing over nonsense. Cool. Okay, number 3, secluded meditation. Practice especially in Hasidic circles. Spending an hour daily in isolated nature, speaking to God in your own words, pouring out your heart without formal liturgy. This activates the direct connection between your soul proper, the neshama, so that's the level 3 soul. And its root in God. So it connects your soul proper to its root in God, is the secluded meditation. Then 4, we have cleaving and adhesion, which is the goal of this, is the goal of contemplative practice, so persistent awareness of divine presence in all moments. So not ecstasy or visions, but continuous consciousness like there is nothing but Him. Walking, eating, working, all become prayer when done with this practice. So just, it's like constantly staying in the flow state and awareness of all is God through just a constant daily activity. Just always remembering God in everything that you're doing. Persistent awareness of divine presence in all moments. Next up, we got letter meditation. The Hebrew alphabet isn't arbitrary. Each letter is a channel of divine creative force. Meditating on individual letters, their shape, sound, numeric value, position in the alphabet reveals cosmic principles. That reminds me of gematria, but again, a layman, not a expert. And maybe we'll get into gematria later, as said before. So an example is the letter aleph, silent, suggesting the ephemeral, shaped like a vav, separating 2 yuds, representing the middle pillar, meditating between right and left. The numeric value is 1, unity. Meditating on aleph, is meditating on the paradox of unity containing multiplicity. Whoa. Okay. That sounds a lot like gematria. Study as practice is another practical technique here, which is studying Kabbalistic texts isn't academic, it's transformative. The Zohar itself says studying its pages purifies the soul even without full comprehension. The act of wrestling with the symbols, trying to visualize the configuration, rewires consciousness. And then here are some classical, essential classical texts for Kabbalah. Is the Sefer Yetzirah. Again, forgive the pronunciation, but it's the Book of Formation. It's an ancient cosmological text, and it's possibly 3rd or 6th century. But here, Book of Brightness, 12th century, southern France. It's cryptic and fragmentary. The Zohar, I'm sure you've heard of that one. That's a pretty famous one, but it's the Book of Splendor, and it's the main Kabbalistic text written in Aramaic and traditionally attributed to Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai in the 2nd century, but actually is actually composed by Moses de Leon in 13th century Spain. A mystic, forgive me if that's offensive, but that's the history understanding, I guess. A mystical commentary on Torah organized around the weekly portions, dense, symbolic, requires a guided study. And then we've got Perez Rimonim, again, forgive the pronunciation, but that's the Orchard of Pomegranates. Pomegranates, dude. Pomegranates. Listen, when you hear pomegranates, you should listen. Rabbi Moses Cordovero, 16th century, systematic exposition, organizes earlier Kabbalistic material into a coherent framework. Next up, we've got Etz Hayam Cham, Tree of Life. It's a book called Tree of Life, right, by Rabbi Hayam Vital. Loria's teachings written down by his student, the foundation of Loranic Kabbalah, and it's technical and demanding. Tanya, by Rabbi Shinor Zalman of Lydia, is a Hasidic Kabbalistic psychology, and it makes Loranic concepts accessible for the personal spiritual work, foundation text of Chabad Hasidism. Chabad, Shabbat, however you go. So that's the further reading, or if you're trying to get a list going to go look into it more, those are the texts that cover this Kabbalah tradition. There's also modern accessible introductions. So you got the 13 petaled rose by Rabbi Adin Steinsaltz. Brief, clear, traditional perspective, Jewish mysticism and introduction. This is academic but readable overview. Inner Space by Rabbi R.L. Kaplan. Meditation techniques from traditional sources. The Way of Kabbalah by Zev Ben Shimon Haleva. Forgive the butchering of the names, but it's accessible diagrams and explanations. And then we have Matt Daniel C. Their translations of the Zohar, and it has extensive commentary. So this whole thing this cosmology isn't like an abstract philosophy, it's a literal map for lived experience. When you feel contracted, limited, judged, you're experiencing Gevura, which I don't remember what that translated into. When expansive and giving. But yeah, I believe that Gevura is the left pillar. Oh, is the severity. And then, so when you're constricted, you're experiencing the severity node. When you're when you're expanding, you're experiencing the mercy node on the tree of life. Thank you for your patience there. That was, my notes are confused. Okay, the 4 world, and then when balanced, you're feeling the like beauty node, right? Yeah. And so these are modes of consciousness that you already know, like you just experienced this throughout your life, like you're familiar with these nodes on the tree of life. And then the 4 worlds explain why the same event can feel completely different depending on your level of awareness. Losing money in the action level world of awareness is just a financial loss, but in the emotional formation realm of awareness or world, it feels like it might trigger like a shame or fear. It might mess you up, like emotionally, right? And then in the creation mode or world, place of awareness, you might see it as divine providence teaching detachment. And then in the emanation world and level of awareness, you realize that it's all one divine flow without separation of loss and gain. And so this one event will trigger different responses in your corresponding levels of awareness. So you can feel all of these kind of simultaneously, or you can be in just one as well, I think, you know, like where when you're in action, it's like, oh, the number in my bank account just went down. But then emotionally, you feel shame, fear, like concern, you feel an emotion about it, like, oh no, that's scary, uh-oh. And then in the higher up level, you're like, oh, well, money is just money, it doesn't really matter, and you have this sort of enlightened detachment, sense of awareness. And then another sense of awareness even higher than that is that there is there's just a divine flow that's going on here, and there's no separation of loss and gain. It's just the flow of the universe or whatever. Okay, very good. Then the shattered vessels we've covered as well, which explains the human condition, like why we're divine sparks trapped in shells of ego and material imperfection, yearning for a reunion with the source, and every impulse towards goodness, truth, beauty, or unity is a spark trying to return home, and also repairs the universe as a whole. And then we covered the framework for meaning. So your life has cosmic significance. Every choice either gathers light or disperses it. The repair of the universe depends on you, not metaphorically, but literally in the Kabbalist worldview. And so then this is the essential framework. From here, deeper study follows specific paths, textual study of Zohar, practical meditation techniques, acidic psychology, or theoretical analysis of the different dynamics of the nodes on the tree of life. But the core architecture remains. God contracts, creates through emanation. Light descends through the worlds. The vessels break and shatter. Sparks are scattered. And then humanity gathers those sparks through the intentional action of healing reality. And that is my discussion on Kabbalah 101. Thank you for your participation as an audience member in this. I appreciate it. Hopefully this benefits you and you have some sort of better understanding of like what this thing is that you're probably hearing more and more about, or of. You're probably hearing this word more often lately. I know I have been, and I hope everything is well and good, and I hope that this is good and serves you and is beneficial and all things are going well. And this has been The Quiet Signal. I'm your signal guide. And shh, it's the quiet signal. Oh, also super quick, if you made it this far, let's kind of do this stuff. There's probably links in the description to like more of my stuff going on, like more of just me. If you care about that, I don't know. I'm somewhat funny and creative and interesting, I think, and I'm, trying to make sense of the world, probably just like you. So if you want to participate or pay attention to that, I have like a Patreon or whatever. You can check it out. I have a Discord. Cool. So there's that going on. That's pretty cool stuff. It's kind of low. Everything's like, we're just figuring it out. We're just trying things. I do use the robot, and you'll notice it here and there. Even throughout this, I had some LLM assistance, just because I'm a crazy, like, I have a hard time with the feminine side pillar of severity. Oh, also in my notes, there's more to go cover in this, but the Boaz and Yankin or whatever, Boaz and Yakin Phoenix or something. Why did pomegranates just pop up again from? But there's dude, why did I just see? But the pillars of Boaz and Yakin like come to mind when when pillars come up, and then there's pillars in fraternities that have secrets, if that's an okay way of saying it. There's so much Star Wars-esque sequels and prequels rhyming with each other, stuff going on that drives me insane, and I have a hard time with the pillar of severity when it comes to that, where my pillar of mercy or emanation or of creation and expansion goes a little crazy, so I have to use the LLM in order to get my perspectives into a coherent lecture or way of understanding. And even through that, I digress like I am now, and right now the purpose of what I'm doing is to try and promote more of my stuff, and I'm already degrading into more craziness. This is probably more truth than I need to be sharing with you right now, but all that just to say, I'm starting out here. We're at the ground floor. So if you want to get at the ground floor or something, now is the time. Follow my links. I'm on X, Twitter, whatever you call it. There's a TikTok, but really that's just an advertisement trying to get people back over here. I mean, literally my YouTube shorts are just Opus Clips AI generation. Like, it's very low effort. I could use an editor so badly. So if you're an editor and you want to figure that out with me, that's awesome. Also, hopefully we're doing this in a respectful way, because that's my intent here. But I'm so thankful for you to make it through all of this. I mean, it's this stuff is pretty heavy and difficult, and it's like not even related to, like, this is for an audience of people that this isn't even related to. So if you just have a passive sort of interest, this is nice to have. It's something that I wish, like me growing up in my church or whatever, I wish people like provided to me. I keep hearing terms like Judeo-Christian values, and I don't even know what the Judeo values are, and this is something that makes that up. And having just a basic 101 worldview of it would have been very nice for navigating the world for some reason. But just thank you so much. Thank you for watching, listening, participating. Comment, share, subscribe, and have a great day. How about that? Have a great day. Good night.